off, first up on our list is our 2021-22 Tennessee Ready results. So I'm going to ask if Dr. Changus will come on up and get us started on that.
Thank you, Chair Tyler. We're going to be talking about this year's TNReady results, literacy reimagined updates, and technology use. I'm going to start off talking about the recently released TCAP results. TCAP stands for Tennessee Comprehensive Assessment Program. It covers TNReady assessments in grades 3 through 8 and high school end-of-course exams. Now, these results are tied to our focus outcomes for literacy and numeracy, and the data that help us support and evaluate our personalized learning experiences of our students and help us identify and eliminate inequities. In addition, today's presentation will again provide an update of Literacy Reimagined Signature Initiative. So looking at the highlights from this year's TCAP results, we saw a higher percentage of our students reaching proficiency. That's reaching the top 2 achievement levels, which previously were identified as being on track or mastered. The performance levels have not changed, but we now are referring to those statewide as meeting or exceeding expectations, which I think connects better with families. But we reached proficiency in 13 of the 14 tested subjects. We will look at those in more detail in a minute. And I will say that the one area that we saw a decline was high school biology 1, but the improvements we saw in the other 13 areas were significant. You also see when we get into our detailed data that we have reached previous pre-pandemic levels in a few areas, particularly some key areas such as elementary and high school literacy. Looking at the second bullet, our scores improved when we look at grades 3 through 8 across those grade levels in all 4 subjects tested. That's English language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies. In addition, our one-year improvement across those grades exceeded the state growth from 21 to 22 in all 4 subjects tested. These results, when we combine 3 through 8 TNReady and high school end-of-course exams, also exceeded the growth seen statewide in each of those 4 subject areas. And our students made improvement for all of our subgroups generally, but we did not see achievement gaps narrow, and that was a pattern that was observed statewide. And it continues to be our challenge, and we know that during the pandemic, our traditionally disadvantaged subgroups, our economically disadvantaged, our English learners, and students with disabilities did have a greater impact. Their achievement was more impacted by the pandemic than other students. However, for the 14 tested subjects, economically disadvantaged students did make improvement last year in 13 areas. Our English learners made improvement in 10 areas, and students with disabilities in 13 of the 14 tested areas. So looking in more detail at our English language arts results, and I'm presenting primarily graphs provided by the Tennessee Department of Education to be consistent with their reporting. We've received different reports in different files with slightly different numbers, very slight differences, but I wanted to be consistent with using the state numbers. So this is showing over the last 5 test administrations of English language arts, the percent of students scoring at each achievement level, with the highest level at the bottom of each column, each bar in blue. That would be our students exceeding expectations. In the green color, meeting expectations. So the black line above those are what the state defines as proficiency. And then above that, we have approaching expectations and below expectations. And again, the performance standards have been consistent in English language arts over these 5 administrations. And so we did see the dip in 2021, and we see the scores bouncing back in 2022. Now, one thing that these data and the other graphs we're going to be looking at, especially when we look at statewide data, will remind us is that Tennessee has set an extremely high bar of what it defines as being proficient, one of the most rigorous standards in the country. And some of our students who are in the approaching expectations category, not identified as proficient, are actually going to score above state and national averages on standardized tests. But looking at those last two columns, we see that our scores improved by 8 percentage points across all grade levels in English Language Arts last year. And they surpassed our pre-pandemic scores, 2019 above as well. In addition to having scores that exceed previous years in proficiency, if you look at the blue bar, you'll see that we had a higher percentage of students this year than past years, reaching the highest achievement level, exceeding expectations. Moving on to results by tier, we have elementary, that's grades 3 through 5, middle, 6 through 8, and our high school, which would be English 1 and English 2. We see an 8 percentage point increase if we look at the bars on the left for elementary grades from 2021 to 2022, a 7 percentage point increase in middle school grades, and a 7 percentage point increase at the high school level. You'll also see that our elementary school results meet where we were previously with regard to our pre-pandemic proficiency and exceed at the high school level pre-pandemic levels. We're 1 point below where we were in 2019 at the middle school grades. But again, we're seeing a strong bounce back in English Language Arts. The state is highlighting English Language Arts proficiency at the 4th grade in anticipation in advance of next year's 3rd grade retention policy. This again is a graph that they provided that compares the district results in the dark bars with state results in the orange. And what we see is that there was a statewide increase last year of 7 percentage points. 6 percentage points, in our district improved by 7 percentage points. So again, we slightly exceeded the state at 4th grade in terms of our proficiency. We actually saw improvement at 4 of the 6 grades relative to the state in terms of our growth. And I'll just add that we also exceeded the state at every grade level in 3 through 8 for math, science, and social studies. Moving on to mathematics, we see, again, the black bar representing proficiency. This is district-wide results for the last 5 test administrations. As you're probably aware and remember, math scores nationally took a bigger hit than English Language Arts last year and have been a little bit slower to reach pre-pandemic levels. The state did not reach pre-pandemic levels in mathematics this year, nor did we. However, another year of growth like we saw this year, and we would meet those levels. We saw an 8 percentage point increase from 2021. Statewide, the increase in mathematics across all grades was a 5-point increase. So again, we exceeded the state in this case by 3 percentage points. Sorry, bounce back to looking at the results by tier in mathematics. Okay, we saw those results for language arts. Here we see a 9 percentage point increase in grades 3 through 5, a 10-point increase in middle school grades 6 through 8, and we have a 5-point increase at the high school level, English 1 and English 2. Now, while our elementary and middle school students made excellent improvement in both English Language Arts and mathematics, the gains in mathematics actually were slightly higher compared to English Language Arts, which is consistent with what we saw earlier this year with a MAP assessment at mid-year. In MAP, if you may remember, we exceeded the growth nationally in both subjects, but the gains in math were a little bit higher. Here, we're exceeding the statewide gains in both English language arts and math, but the gains are a little bit higher in mathematics. But once again, because of the greater loss that we had last year with regard to proficiency in mathematics, we haven't bounced back to pre-pandemic levels. The state's highlighting, oops, yeah, there we go. And the state is highlighting math proficiency in grade 7. We know that that's a critical year as students are getting prepared at the high school level for algebra integrated math courses. Again, the black bars are representing our district results, the orange, our statewide results. Statewide, there was a 7 percentage point increase last year. District-wide, we doubled 10 percentage point increase. So we doubled our school proficiency rate last year. Looking at science scores for the current year compared to last 3 administrations, let me point out first of all that science standards new standards were put in place prior to the 2021 school year. That's why you're not seeing any results statewide for 2019 or 20 as those standards were changing. And again, we're using graphs provided by the state, but comparisons to prior to 2021 would be an apples to oranges comparison. Looking at the last 2 years of test administration, however, we are seeing improvement at elementary and middle school tiers, a 3-point increase in elementary grades, a 4 percentage point increase in middle school grades, but you will see a slight decline, a 3-point decline at the high school level. Again, this was the one area, Biology 1, that we saw a decline, and also that the state did not make improvement. If you combine these results across all grade levels, we as a district saw about a 3 percentage point increase in science scores, that would be 3 through 12. The state saw about a 1-point increase. And finally, social studies, which is administered in grades 6 through 8 with the TNReady, and U.S. history at the high school level. Our middle school students made an 8 percentage point increase last year. And you will notice that they also are exceeding and meeting and exceeding where we were previously prior to the pandemic. And also, we are exceeding at the high school level with U.S. history, where we saw a 7 percentage point increase last year. Statewide, the increase at the high school level was 5 points. We exceeded at the middle school level 1 point more than the state in terms of progress. This table is a breakdown of the growth increase that we saw in proficiency, showing the number of students tested in 3 through 8, English language arts, math, science, and social studies for the last 2 years, the number of students meeting expectations or exceeding expectations, and the change in percentage. And if you look at those bars, those numbers in green in the change column, we see significant improvement across grades in all subjects, and we also see that we surpassed the state in all subjects. And I will mention, as I said earlier, that we've received different numbers in different files, but these are from the summary reports from the vendor, Pearson, that show both district and state level data. But again, our numbers look very good and a little bit above where the state is. Sometimes we lose some of the impact when we just show percentages, which is why you see below that the increases in proficiency in terms of numbers of students. So looking at 3 through 8 ELA, we saw 2,647 more of our students that met these high standards, 2,959 students in mathematics compared to the previous year that met or exceeded those standards in mathematics, an increase of 1,400 students in science, 1,321 students in social studies, which is 6 through 8 only. When we combine these numbers with what we saw at the end of course, on the end of course exams, we had an increase of over 10,000 student scores that were proficient this year. And that's students that are hitting high, rigorous standards and better prepared to meet their future goals and expectations for career in college. These are the numbers at the ninth grade and above level of the high school end of course exams. A lot of data on this page. Again, the column, the change column that's green or red is showing the change from the prior year for our students and then for Tennessee students. And I will say statewide, there were some significant gains made, again, on high school end of course tests. As we also saw, the one area that statewide and district-wide we didn't see improvement was biology. But you'll also see a mixed bag in terms of our results compared to the state. We are higher in a few areas, integrated math 1, algebra, and geometry, and I'll mention some of these courses. In mathematics, the district has an integrated math curriculum. So when you're looking at algebra and geometry scores, you're primarily looking at charter school students. We had 2 homeschool students in those data. But again, we're seeing positive numbers in the vast majority of areas. And then finally, a breakdown by student subgroup. And this is looking at 3 through 8 English language arts. And the colors may be a little hard to discern, but the top bar in the blue color is the 2022 data. The darker column below that in black is 2021. And if at first glance you will see that there were increases for all students in language arts, for all subgroups. But again, the gaps, as we've seen previously, remain wide, and they did not close. And in fact, our traditionally disadvantaged students tended to make slightly smaller gains than our overall student population. Again, that's consistent with the results that we saw statewide. And in mathematics, we see similar patterns. All student subgroups in 3 through 8 made improvement, 1-year improvement. But again, the gaps remain. And to recap, we saw significantly more students reaching proficiency this year than the previous year. Again, 13 of the 14 tested subjects. Our scores improved across the board in grades 3 through 8, all subjects and all grade levels. Our 1-year gains in most areas were greater than what we saw statewide, including all of our 3 through 8 subjects tested. Our 1-year improvement, again, exceeded the state across 3 through 12 as well when we combine all of those data. We met or surpassed pre-pandemic levels in English language arts 3 through 5, elementary level, the high school level 9 through 12, middle school social studies, and U.S. history. And all subgroups made improvement, but achievement gaps remain. And finally, as I think many people are aware, a lot of national and international experts predicted that it was going to be a significant impact academically from the pandemic, that it could be long-term and take several years for us to recover. We're not back in every area yet, but it is encouraging to see that we already have met or exceeded pre-pandemic scores in a few areas and are making up significant ground in other areas. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Williams to discuss Literacy Reimagined.
Thank you, Dr. Chingus.
Oh, one moment. Hold on one second. Yes, Ms.
Are we saving all questions to the end for both presentations, or?
Does your Literacy Reimagined presentation tie into the scores, or is it a separate program?
Not specifically, no, ma'am.
Okay. Why don't we take a break and ask some questions about this one first, and then we can move on to Literacy Reimagined.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Masters, would you like to kick us off if you have some
Sure,
questions?
sure. So I just wanted to, a clarifying question. So we have, tell me if this is right, 2,647 more more 3 through 8 students were at that level of proficient. Okay, so I would just be interested in knowing how that breaks out by grade level.
We'll be happy to provide that. So that 2,647 is comparing, if you look at the MET exceeded number, 8396 this year compared to 5749. Again, when I looked at it across all grade levels, including the high school level, there were about almost 11,000 scores higher in terms of our students meeting proficiency, which is actually, if you just look at it as a percentage of where we were before, there's about 47% more students' scores that are proficient this year. We'll be happy to provide a grade level breakdown.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Ms. Elrod, do you have questions?
I do, thank you. Dr. Cengiz, I apologize, I missed, you gave us a statistic after slide 4, going into slide 5, which was talking about the EOC results and then going into the ELA results for grades 3 through 12. And you had said some areas, you had said that there were some areas for disadvantaged groups that they had not mastered, and you gave examples for economically disadvantaged English language learners and students with disabilities, but I forgot the numbers that you gave us.
Yes, and I'll be happy to share my notes, but we had, for economically disadvantaged students in the 14 tested subject areas, they showed improvement in 13 of the 14 areas. English learners made improvement in 10 of the 14 tested areas, and students with disabilities in 13 of the 14 tested areas.
And then,
And I'll also mention too, these are looking at TNReady scores only, not alternative assessment. So those are students with disabilities taking the standard test.
correct. And then according to the charts that you provided and the information shown, as usual, they did not make the same improvements. There's still a larger gap there. And that's within those 13 of 14 and 10 of 14 and 13 of 14 that they made improvements in, just not as much as their peers.
Correct.
Let me look back through my notes, Abigail.
Okay.
I might have another question.
Okay, while she thinks about that, I'm going to ask real quick. I think, so we talk about this every time we talk about scores, but I think it really bears repeating every single time. Can you just real quick, succinct, explain how the state set the cut scores?
I can tell you what I know about the process, and I've been involved in some of the past years in on technical review committees, not in all of the processes, but historically what happens is that educators are brought together. We're talking about classroom teachers who are curriculum experts, supervisors of instruction, and other district leaders, a sample of educators from every tier, every grade level represented. They look at actual test content, and usually the content is ordered from easiest to most difficult items, and there's a process that at each grade level they will go through, first defining what they envision of a student who is at the highest level, the next level, and so forth. What does it really mean to be proficient in terms of content? And then what does that translate to in terms of the content that they should be able to correctly answer on these tests? And it's typically called a bookmark procedure, where they'll go through and identify this is the test item that a proficient student should be able to answer that a non-proficient student wouldn't. And they'll go through multiple iterations of that, looking at data in between. And historically, in the past, a lot of that data would come from test items that had been previously administered or piloted in other forms. I know that more recently, as Tennessee has gone from having some of the lowest standards to some of the very highest in the country, that in addition to looking at standardized tests at those grade levels, a lot of the data has looked at it compared to the National Assessment of Educational Progress, which is a very rigorous exam intended to be correlated to college and career success in ACT and SAT exams. Teachers have also looked at what that cut score translates to in terms of being on track for a 21 or higher, or on the ACT composite, or for a specific subject area meeting the college readiness benchmark. And so I will say that the data does have an impact in terms of, if you've defined a child as proficient, does that mean they're college and career ready? At one point, Tennessee had what we considered minimal competency standards as being on grade level. The conversation shifted to being basically on track for ACT or SAT success. And that's a much higher bar. And again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these students that are non-proficient are going to be above the national or state average on these exams.
And that, I'm glad you mentioned that about the ACT score, because that was something else I wanted to kind of touch on as well. We always talk about ensuring that our kids are college and career ready. And so how does aligning our score with the college acceptance, that 21 ACT score, show that a student is career ready?
We could probably have a rather lengthy conversation around that, but I think for the most part, the assumption has been that we wanted students in Tennessee to have the option to go the college or career path. The data on how well that predicts success at the career level, to be honest, is very spotty. ACT does have other exams, more workplace readiness type of exams. I also know that, one of the conversations that they'll have is the fact that even reading a basic technical manual requires a pretty high level of academic skill. But there are different skills that are required in terms of being career ready. So we're primarily assessing college readiness here.
Okay, so do we have a way to measure whether or not a student is career ready, since this is not measuring that?
I think there are a lot of other skills that would need to be assessed. I know that, and Dr. Williams and others can talk about the other things we try to develop in terms of students being collaborative and having skills beyond just some of the strict assessment academic skills that we assess on these standardized tests. But that's, I'll just say from my reading of the literature, there's not always agreement on what those skills are. But I know that ACT, for instance, has identified some other assessments that they feel do tap into some of those other skills that are essential. But those are going to vary, again, by career. And I don't think we've reached agreement on what those are as a state.
Okay. I do think it's always important to remind ourselves that, we're actually, despite what we claim and despite what the state claims, we're really only looking for college readiness. And then to kind of follow up on that college readiness, now that we have a lot more schools that are kind of ditching the SAT and ACT, are we going to change the way that we set our percentages compared to ACT percentages? Because if a student doesn't have to take the SAT or ACT to get into a college, then why are we making sure that our test scores align with that?
So I can't speak for the state in terms of where they're headed in that regard, but I know that there are some institutions that are looking at going back to some of those standardized tests. I think the argument might be that there still are correlations between performance on those tests and success at the college level. There are mixed results that people will tell you who've looked at the data, but I know ACT has looked at past ACT performance and how students do in college, colleges and universities, and how they correlate. But again, I'm not sure where the state's going to land in terms of these assessments.
And then I think I just want to also reiterate, you said this already in your presentation, but you specifically said that students who are in that approaching proficiency or approaching expectations, as we're calling it now, are students who very well are on grade level currently. They don't, just because they're not in the category of meeting or exceeding expectations does not mean that they are below grade level.
Yeah, this is Paul Changus talking right now, and not necessarily the district. But I can tell you that we have redefined as a state what it means to be on grade level in very different ways over the years. And it's hard for me to me, there's a difference between the standard definition of being on grade level and being college ready on these exams. And I would say that many of our students who are in that approaching category would be defined in other states on those exams as being on grade level based on their standards and their performance. So it's hard to say that a child at in some cases, 65th, 70th percentile on a national exam is not on grade level.
And then kind of this idea of what grade level is, that's supposed to represent what the average child in that grade can understand and can respond back positively to show that they have that understanding.
By that definition, it's very different from what we're saying here.
Okay, and if that's the case, then I think it's really important. I mean, is it possible for a school district to ever have 100% of their kids score exceeding expectations? Has that ever happened?
Theoretically, it is if the standard is maintained and is a non-normative standard. But based on the data, I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever see that, at least not in my lifetime.
Yeah. I just think, if we actually saw that, my guess is people would not celebrate that student or that district. They would probably say the test is too easy. And that's the frustrating point.
And as you probably remember from No Child Left Behind, when we theoretically were going to define a goal of 100%, the only way to do that, the issue was raised, would be to water down the tests.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really important for us to point out that our system is designed to have kids at every grade level who are probably not going to be proficient. And if we're looking at the top 2 quintiles when we're breaking it down, we're only looking at 40% of kids because that's 20% a quintile. And so the system is set up to say, if we fall along this bell curve, only 40% of our kids are going to meet these expectations. And the idea to try to say we want our kids to be crowded in the top half of that bell curve, in that top part that goes above and beyond the middle, then I'm just very frustrated with that particular view of it.
And to be honest, even students in the 4th quintile, above the 60th percentile, don't always reach proficiency. And if you looking at, for instance, 7th grade math score statewide, about a third of our students are reaching that bar, not 40%. So it's a high bar.
Yeah. And I also want to say I was looking recently at a list of our top 10 districts based on all sorts of things, including school data. And the majority of them do not have students who perform higher than 40% proficient. And so I think it's important to note that across the state, we're doing our students a disservice, not just MNPS, because we're telling these kids that they're not proficient when they might very well be developmentally appropriately at the right spot. And I think it's really important that we think about the way we talk to our students about their capabilities and what we expect of them. And I'm very frustrated by the way standardized testing does not do that in a way that is what I believe appropriate. Did you come up with some other questions?
Did.
Go for it.
That frustration is, of course, not with you, Dr. Chagas.
No.
Okay.
No.
You know, it is very frustrating, of course, from the perspective of, I'm excited about the growth. Of course, this doesn't give us a full picture of the incredible work that was done by teachers and staff and everybody else last year. However, there was some growth, and that's to be celebrated. Within that growth, are there takeaways that we have, and this may not be a question for you, and you're welcome to tell me that's outside of your ball field. But are there takeaways that we have that we're going to try to implement based upon these scores or these changes? Is there something that we have as a best practice that we're saying, okay, that worked really well this year, we're going to implement it now, here on out, anything like that?
Yeah, I will defer to others. I will tell you that we're still very early in the process of looking at these data. We're also going to be using these data and other data to evaluate some of our initiatives, to look at, again, what is working well. But I think the positive is some combination of things is working well. Now it's a matter of trying to isolate which ones are the most effective practices. But you know, I'll just say, as someone who's worked with these types of data for many, many years, I was relieved and encouraged that we are seeing the bounce back that we saw, because there were no guarantees from anything we had read over the course of the year that it would start to bounce back this much in 1 year's time. There's obviously still work to do. But now we're just getting into the nuts and bolts of which students, maybe which interventions and so forth that are tied to these scores.
And can you remind me the proficiency level that we're supposed to be for next year's grade retention policy for third grade?
So I'll have to review exactly what that policy says, but students at the third grade are supposed to be to reach proficiency or go through a summer program.
Right.
And I don't know if others have the policy in front of them, but I know that I'll just say, as someone who's worked in this field for a long time, I'm always concerned when we put a lot of weight on one test, and the literature in terms of retention is not strong. So it is an area that we're going to have to dig into, and I'm hoping that we'll have some conversation around that policy as a state.
I hope for the same. I appreciate it. I'll look into that. I just thought maybe you're such a wealth of knowledge, Dr. Chagas. I thought you might know off the top of your head, because I could not remember myself, but it is a concern.
I'm semi-retired at this point, and my brain may be semi-retired at this point, but I've been spending recent weeks, as you can see, just the timing was such that the data came when it came, and that's what I've been dealing with recently. But I do think the issues around third grade retention are one that, as a district, we're going to have to dig into.
Agreed.
Yes. Thank you. And then before we move on to Literacy Reimagined, I just want to quote a researcher of studies. It says, "I have reviewed more than 300 studies of K-12 academic tests. And what I have discovered is startling. Most tests used to evaluate students, teachers, and school districts predict almost nothing except the likelihood of achieving similar scores on subsequent tests. I have found virtually no research demonstrating a relationship between those tests and measures of thinking or life outcomes." So I think if we could, Dr. Changas, thank you so much. And
Can I ask one
Dr.
more?
Williams, if you want to. Oh, you had one more. I'm so sorry.
I'm not sure if this is for Dr. Changas, but I mean, I continue to be so deeply concerned about the fact that while research like that just quoted by Chair Tyler exists, we continue to use these test results to determine eligibility for our own academic magnet schools. I don't know if there's anyone here that can speak to that, or how we might, and perhaps I suppose it's our job as a board to move forward in thinking about changing that. But even as we sit here talking about our concerns around these test results and how it's going to affect our third grade students moving forward, and we sit here and we talk about the level at which these standards are set, And then, of course, on top of that, there's the fact that the state embargoes them at their will and releases the results to us when they see fit. And we have a board resolution that was passed before our time on this board with concern about standardized testing, and yet we continue to use these very tests to determine eligibility for academic magnet schools for our students in our magnet schools that we run. So maybe that's a question for school options. Maybe that's more of a question for Dr. Battle. But I just want to put it forward right now that I intend to call a work session on our magnet school policies and how we're determining eligibility around that. It is my understanding there has been no board vote on what specific qualifications will be used to determine that eligibility since sometime in the 80s. And that, as a matter of fact, we're creating a stain-on score out of map tests when they were absolutely not intended to be used in that way. So, I mean, I'm sorry, Dr. Changes. You know how I feel about this. We've been back and forth about this. If you'd like to speak to it, that's great. But I also think, you are absolutely amazing at aggregating and explaining this data to us, but you also have such a deep understanding of the human side of it, and that you can't see everything about a child based on a test score.
I'll just say that this is a much bigger conversation,
Yes.
and but you are correct that the policy and the criteria were established in the 1980s and basically have remained consistent since then. That's a much broader conversation.
Thank you.
I would agree. And I think it's a conversation worth having, so.
Let's do it.
All right, Dr. Williams, let's move us
All
along.
right. Thank you. Thanks for the rich conversation. I enjoyed listening to that. Chair Tyler, if it's okay,
Please.
Dr. Renfro is going to piggyback after me, and so we'll get through our content and still allow enough time for questions for both the remaining two agenda items, if that's fine.
I appreciate that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So thank you for the opportunity to share some information related to our Literacy Reimagined efforts over the past year. It's important, I think, to start with our K-12 literacy vision, because at its core, Literacy Reimagined has been about both equity and excellence. We believe it's the civil right of every MNPS student to have the ability to read. We will ensure that all MNPS students receive the highest quality literacy instruction in order to create a culture that embraces and values authentic readers, writers, thinkers, and communicators. And all of our work is grounded in the two principles of equity and excellence, and our vision certainly reflects this. As one of our signature initiatives, at the outset, we defined 3 critical metrics by which we would measure our success. First, 50% of students would meet or exceed growth goals as determined by our MAP assessment. Second, that we would implement 100% of the actionable recommendations that are in our literacy implementation framework. And finally, that we would increase our on-track or master percentages that Dr. Cheng has just went over for all students to include proficiencies, increases in proficiencies for all subgroups. So I'm pleased to report that we have successfully met all 3 of those goals. That's important to point out. I do want to clarify the last one. There's an asterisk that we did have one subgroup that did not have enough students test in 2021 to have a valid statistical comparison between years. So discounting that one small subgroup, we did actually increase our proficiency levels for all subgroups. I want to remind everyone that our Literacy Reimagined efforts are about K-12 literacy. So here in this slide, you can see all the main components of our curriculum materials that we used. You'll see the teacher-recommended board-adopted materials for K-5, Wit and Wisdom and Geodes. And for 612, you'll see My Perspectives. You'll also see the Tennessee Foundational Skills Curriculum Supplement, and that's a free resource provided by the state for us to use to teach our critical foundational skills. So on the next few slides, there's several successes and accomplishments. And I'm just going to highlight some of them. We all know that our students, as we just discussed, and their learning are much more than a test score. But we also want to celebrate the tremendous growth that we saw this year. And we know this would not be possible without the hard work of our students and their dedication and expertise of our teachers. I want to highlight the first bullet, that we were able to fully invest in literacy materials for all teachers and all students. Personally, I'm going into my 8th year at the Support Hub, and that's the first time that that's happened for any content area in the last 8 years. We're thankful to the board for their support in advocating for and ensuring that we are wisely utilizing available funds to make this happen. Additionally, we're able to offer 2 days of professional development to kick off our K-5 literacy reimagined efforts in the summer of 2021. And then this summer, either 1 or 1.5 days, depending on if teachers were new or returning, for secondary literacy. And in both cases, teachers were paid at their full daily rate for their participation and completion in these trainings. We have some of the best, most engaged partners here in Nashville supporting our district. For example, Pencil has been tremendous in helping with our Accelerating Scholars Program and helping us identify tutor partners. We have partnered with United Way, Bookham Alignment Nashville, the Nashville Public Library, and many, many others who provide literacy-rich opportunities outside and beyond the school day. Another success I want to highlight is that we need a strong through line so that we have coherence throughout our system. Executive directors in the Division of Schools, assistant principals, deans, librarians, literacy coaches, literacy leads, content teachers, EL teachers, EE teachers. They all had role-specific training and supports available to them throughout the year. Our literacy team, for example, created leader-facing content documents to equip and empower our leaders so that they could meaningfully engage in planning, for example, so that our principals were able to not just participate and do more than follow along, they are actually able to ask questions, be thought partners, and learn right alongside their staff. And while we know that there are successes, we also recognize that we have much more work to do and that we still face challenges. We know that pacing was a challenge in the first year, and we expected this. The materials are rich and rigorous, and finding the appropriate balance for pace to build and sustain forward momentum without rushing is a challenge. And walk with me through this. In 2019-20, our teachers were in their last year of the materials adopted by the board in 2014. Then COVID happened and forced us to conduct school virtually, so we had to switch on the fly to a virtual curriculum, which delayed implementation of these new materials. And then this year, once we finally implemented, now we have 3 curricula in 3 years. So we refer to that as curriculum fatigue. And finally, we know there continues to be, and this is important, ongoing challenges that the pandemic has induced. Certainly social, emotional, and mental health is a top priority for all of us charged with the care for kids. Financial burdens plague many of our families in ways even more severely than before the pandemic. We know teachers are stretched thin, covering classes and keeping up with the many demands of their jobs every day. However, in the face of these challenges, our educators did rise to the challenge and provided quality educational experiences for our students every day. Our students are responding and performing. We know we still have a long way to go and much good work ahead of us. I want to quickly look ahead to the 2022-23 school year for some of the refinements and improvements that we plan to make next year even better. As a noted challenge, we are making adjustments to better help teachers balance the brisk pacing with deep access for all students. We are thankful to the board again for additional planning and professional development days that are in our district calendar that provide teachers the opportunity to come together and collaborate. Also, based on data and feedback from key stakeholders, we're going to elevate and emphasize those critical foundational literacy skills, particularly in K-2. They are so important to get right for every single student. We also want to establish demonstration classrooms to scale the expertise of some of our best educators so our teachers can learn from the best, each other. Some more plans. Our literacy and EL departments have collaborated this year to provide additional curricular supports and professional learning ahead of 2022-23. Using the WIDA ELD standards framework as a foundation, we want to empower our teachers to provide critical differentiated scaffolds so students have access to the content without compromising the expectations or rigor of the curriculum. For secondary specifically, we're excited to be providing our secondary schools with 95,000 novels and texts already paid for. It's already part of the curriculum, and that equates to approximately 3 per student. These are in addition to the full-length texts that are already built into the curriculum. Schools will be provided a menu of options for how to best utilize these novels to enhance the literacy experiences of our middle and high school students. And finally, this is my segue into Dr. Renfro. We've been able to integrate the digital online tools and resources for the secondary My Perspectives curriculum into Schoology, which is our learning management system. This allows seamless access to the content and digital assets in our courses that are set up on Schoology for both teachers and students. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Renfro. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to come before you today and talk about some of the issues and ideas around technology use in our district. And I would be remiss if I didn't start with some thank yous as we moved into one-to-one. Our schools, our teachers, our librarians, our parapros, the work they did to move us to one-to-one was a Herculean lift that many districts went through, and I am extremely proud of the work that they did. Also, thank you to Mayor Cooper and the Metro Council for the historic investment, and also to the board for continuing to allocate funds for a one-to-one initiative in this district. So starting out with our device vision. Now I'll let you read through it. We really are looking at redefining that learning experience for our students. We have a long way to go with this, and we know that. It's a long process. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint by all means. But I want to point out that our learners are just not our students. They're our teachers. They're our faculties. We have to move everybody forward. And to that end, the district in the past 5 months has made the decision to make a new department in the district, and it is the Department of Digital Strategy and Implementation. It is made up of existing experts in the district, including myself and others, as we move forward, really putting forth a digital strategy for the district. So some of the focuses will be around professional learning. We know our teachers know that, they need that, and level setting on what our expectations are. We have educational software, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we move through, about where the educational software is coming into our district and how we're vetting it. And lastly, the school walkthroughs, but we have a customer experience team that's going out and talking to the students about the experience that they have with the digital tools that we have put in their hands. I was hoping I went the right way with the PowerPoint.
Yes. I would hope so,
So
too,
slide
with our
2.
digital strategy leader.
Yeah. It's like I'm used to a keyboard. So we've worked really hard on setting the standards around digital do's and digital don'ts, and we've worked really hard with our teachers on this. Some of the do's, we want these to be collaborative tools. We want these to be used to empower our learners and our students and our teachers. Some of the don'ts, a worksheet on a computer is just a worksheet. It doesn't make any difference. It's simple substitution, and it doesn't advance the cause in any way. Unlimited use of technology, both in the school and at home, is an issue. And we know that some of our parents don't have the digital literacy skills to support their students in this digital learning environment. And secondarily, we know a lot of our parents don't know what they're using the devices for at the school in a daily habit. That leads to when a student goes home, they can sort of set the stage for what they want to do. So the example I have is a teacher may say, watch this YouTube video and go on Schoology and do a discussion. Well, one YouTube video leads to another YouTube video. And trust me, I'm as guilty of that as anybody else, of going down that rabbit hole and not getting some of the things I need to be done. So that is something that we need to address in the district and level set around that. So with that, let's talk a little bit about what the devices, how we're using the devices in the district. During the pandemic, devices traveled, everybody, pre-K through 12. Not the best scenario, but it's what we had to do in order to make sure we had continuity of learning. When we came back this year, pre-K through 2 stays at school. They have a cart, they go in, the student picks up the same device the next day, making that child responsible for the device. At grades 3 through 12, mirroring many other districts that have gone one-to-one prior to the pandemic, devices 3 through 12 travel with the expectation that they go home. We pray they get charged and come back the next day. If they don't get charged or don't come back the next day, we have loaners at the school, so we don't lose that continuity of learning. The student can log in on another device. Some of the things that we have, we've already mentioned Schoology. We'll talk more about that. Our Library Services Department has many research databases that are available to our students. NPL, Limitless Libraries, many ebooks and audiobooks that we have available. We are one of the largest districts that's doing Minecraft EDU and using Minecraft to engage our students in learning. And our middle schoolers eat up Minecraft. It's insane. I have a 22-year-old who still plays it. Supplemental enrichment, but the last one I put in is these devices often serve as a bridge for our families. So that may be the only device in the house. And that hotspot that we sent home may be the only connection that we have to rely on for these families as things move forward. So when we talk about instruction, we're really talking right now about Tier 1 instruction. What does it look like for the teachers? Well, David made a reference to Schoology and the My Perspectives curriculum that is now loaded into Schoology. So teachers will get in there, they'll build their lessons around either teacher-created materials or digital assets that are built in. They'll provide those for the students. They're available at school, at home, all the way across the board. But one of the things that we've really pushed is the feedback loop and the grading. We have moved grading into Schoology because the feedback loops, teachers can give video feedback to their students using Schoology as opposed to just marking up an assignment. And for those assignments that are just straight graded, they don't have to do like I used to have to do, and that's grade every one of them. If it's a multiple choice, it gets graded for them. For students, it looks like they go to a portal called Clever, where they have all of their softwares provisioned for them, whether it's Schoology, whether it's Beanstack, StepMojo. There is an infinite list of items in there. But the expectation is that they log in there, they get into their assignments, but also that they use, for students and teachers both, that they use the Microsoft platform that we have, that we know collaborates well to build projects and share projects with each other. We expect that both of teachers and students, and we see it even here when we all are using the same Word document or something like that. It's just sort of that's the expectation that we've gotten to. For reinforcement, remediation, and enrichment, I was talking about this earlier. Schools using local funds or ESSER funds or title funds will decide that this piece of software is appropriate for our students. And then we'll go through the process, of course, to make sure data is protected and it is the best fit for our students. And then we get that software in because every school, every student population is different and has different needs. And then we have allocated Tier 2 and Tier 3 and special education programs also that use the digital assets. Finally, I want to talk about some of the accessibility features, and I know one of the conversations was around focusing and being able to focus. And when we get to some of those long passages in either in a text or in Schoology or even just reading a paper, focus becomes an issue. So Microsoft, Schoology, and Office 365 have tools built in to help that. Many of you have seen students who love the phones in dark mode. Dark background, white, just simple flip allows them to focus more. Word will do that. PowerPoint will do that. We have read aloud. So any passage can be read aloud to a student. So even if you're just getting tired of reading, you can at least have it read aloud to you. And then immersive reader that allows you change it to a totally white background, change the font, change the size, change whatever you need in order to focus on the text that you're reading through. With that said, if there are additional needs, if an exceptional ed comes to us and needs an additional need, we work with the schools. We will get the equipment there, the materials there that they need to support their learning. That is our ultimate goal. So with that said, the highlight for me, because I'm leading this new department, is we have a new department of digital strategy and implementation that is really focused on what's going on in the schools, what's going on in the lives of our students, our families, our teachers, that we can start to move the needle forward and move out of that reactionary mode we've been in for a long time. That is the overlay of, as David said, the ongoing pandemic issues. You know, it's time to move forward, and I'm glad that the district has decided to put a focus on this moving forward so that we can enrich the lives and empower our students and our learners. And with that, I'll turn it to Dr. Battle or to Chair Tyler.
Dr. Batter's joining us virtually, for those of you who aren't aware. I guess we're kind of running out of time, and I want to make sure we get to all of the questions we may have. So Dr. Battle, just let us know if you have anything you want to add.
Ms. Tyler, you can go ahead and get started.
Thank you so much. All right, does anybody have any questions they're ready to ask? Go ahead, Ms. Elrod.
Thank you. So Dr. Renfro mentioned that within the one-to-one devices, along with just the expectations of usage, that there are some gaps that parents don't always know the parameters of it, and that we need to kind of level set. Within that, I know there's been some discussions, not necessarily within our one-to-one devices, but they would likely use those within the potential parent-university conversations and other ongoing parent workshops. Is that what we're planning here? Are there other ways we're planning on communicating this? How do we plan on doing this before the school year?
So this summer, we've had devices out, and we say in the wild for 2 years, because we deployed them rapidly, and then we needed them to stay out for summer learning last year. We have brought back all but about 8,000 devices as we brought them back in to prepare them to go back out for the school year. So as we're sending these back out in the 22-23 school year, there'll be a lot more communication going around the expectations of what's going to be happening with the devices. We sort of morphed throughout the last 2 years with the expectations, and that is level setting there, level setting with the teachers through professional development this summer, and we will look at any opportunities to continue to make it more well understood what we want the students using the devices for in the home. Again, we do want to empower them to find other interests too. It's not just do your homework. Explore and empower is a part of that learning experience that we would like to have.
And to your other point of sometimes our hotspot and other devices that we're providing are the only ones for those families.
Yes.
My desire would be that we include this somehow within the parent-university discussions that we've been having. I don't know who to look at with that, but whomever. And that we also consider doing trainings at schools for parents. I know that we've done that before in some family resource centers, just on digital literacy in essence. I think that that would be helpful to not only understand what the level setting is and like how to charge a computer, but also just basic works of it and the responsibilities that are required of it so that there's full understanding of that. So I would prefer that. I, of course, am glad that we're a one-to-one district. That I know that that was a tremendous amount of work, not only for your team here in Support Hub, but also for all of our schools. Do we have any ongoing concerns with not having enough of the already charged schools or the loaner programs at schools? My concern is that we're going to have more come back that are not charged than we can provide at the school, or that provide some additional work for our teachers that I'm just not aware of. So do we have enough of those? Do we have coverage for all of that?
We do, and we also put in every classroom in the district additional chargers and power strips, so that if they come in, there is a station in every classroom in the district, so that there is charging capabilities in every classroom.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Masters, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, is this the pre-K through grade 2 leaving their devices at school? That is new, correct? They had been taking them
That
home.
was new this year.
Okay,
Yeah, this
okay,
year.
okay.
Yes, and that will continue forward. That is best practice.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, okay, great.
And I guess my question would be, why did we decide that third grade was the tipping point?
Just the level of responsibility that we were seeing with third grade, also the increase in level of rigor that goes on that you see at the third grade curriculum, that we felt that they needed a better opportunity to have more time and access with the device. We also reached around and looked at other districts as to where they were doing their cut, and that was the general consensus was third grade.
How are we ensuring that the strongest, most up-to-date filters / restrictions are happening on each and every one of our computers?
So when the devices are at school, they run through Education Networks of America, which has our filtering, and we work with them to make sure it is up to date, whitelisted for things that we want through, blacklisted where we find things. What we do then is mirror the restrictive nature that we have here with Securely, which is on every laptop, and we make sure that those two filters match each other. Now, that is at a machine level when they go home. On top of that, the hotspots that we're receiving from T-Mobile also have some filtering on them to make sure that they are SIPA compliant.
Okay, that's helpful. I do know several students in the high school level especially, who have figured out how to hack through the system and give themselves admin privileges. What are we doing to stay a step ahead? Because our kids, they've lived with this in a way that we haven't, and they are savvy to it in a way that most of us are not. So how are we ensuring that everything we set up is not just being undone immediately when they get home, and them giving themselves those kind of permissions?
So we work with our manager of cybersecurity as he works through with best practices with Microsoft, since we are that Microsoft shop. And we did have that opportunity in bringing back all the devices this year, except for students who they had to specifically check one out to make sure that we were restoring everything back to the highest security level settings that we could on there. And then we just monitor those best practices with our manager of cybersecurity. When we see a breach, and we do from time to time, we go out, we recover the machine, we see what they've done. We work with the principal if it's a disciplinary action at the school, but we also investigate what they did in order to make sure we future-proof against that again. Students are creative, and that's what we want them to be. It just comes out in different ways sometimes.
Yeah, okay. And this next question, I guess it might be a little bit of more from Dr. Williams. So you were talking about reinforcement, remediation, and enrichment during personalized learning time using our devices. But we're seeing that when we have everything left up to just school decisions, that it's actually accidentally created some issues. For example, the district says you can pull kids for one-on-one time or for small groups during PLT. But some principals are saying you're only allowed to use Lexia Core or iReady during PLT, which means that the teachers have lost the autonomy for how to best meet those kids where they are. So how are we going to preserve the ability for our schools to be sensitive to their students and the people that they know and what they need, but also allow our teachers to have that actual autonomy that they need to meet their kids' needs? Because if they think that a kid's going to be better served by being pulled in a small group in PLT instead of sitting them in front of their device to do Lexia Core or iReady, then we want that teacher to be able to have the autonomy to do that. So how are we ensuring that?
Yeah, and to be thank you for the question, and I want to be clear that it's not an either-or decision. So it's not like when I say the student is qualified for intervention, so Lexia is a dyslexia-specific intervention program that we're going to provide student instruction on Lexia, that they're on the computer for 45 minutes. Actually, if they're implementing the program the way it's intended, it is a combination of teacher-directed and online learning with a combination of one-to-one and small group instruction in combination blended with the online platform. So if somebody is under the impression that if a student during PLT is participating in Lexia as an intervention program, then that means that they're on the computer for 45 minutes, that's actually something that we will need to correct, because that is actually not the way the program is intended to be implemented.
Okay, because that is happening at some schools, and I think it's probably just a misunderstanding.
Right.
But teachers have been told by their principals that they are not allowed to do that because they have to do, and they are thinking that means only on the computer.
Right, and to be clear, so implementing Lexia for 45 minutes is in fact a combination of teacher-directed and online. But just because I'm pulling a small group doesn't mean I'm stop providing that student interventions that I'm required to implement per our identification process.
Okay. And one other thing you said about our plans for next year,
Yes, ma'am.
22-23, in the second bullet, comprehensive focus on foundational literacy, you said that we're really going to put a special, intense focus on K-2.
Right.
And so could you explain to me what that exactly looks like? And my question is, how are we going to put more focus on that foundational literacy, maintain the required 90-minute wit and wisdom learning block, and still have our teachers have time to do the science and social studies? Because that's where I see teachers feel like they have to choose, that they either do the foundational literacy things for their students or they do science and social studies for the week. And there's not time in the day to do both.
Right. So a few things there. I appreciate that question. It's really thoughtful. And I'm going to call Aaliyah if you're okay to come and join after I provide an initial response. When we say elevate, certainly we're looking at our map, we looked at our map data, we're looking at our TNReady data, and we see that we're moving in the positive direction, but we've also been monitoring our FastBridge data, which is our universal screener for those foundational skills in the lower grades, and we've seen that we have lots of improvement to do. So we actually made a course correction at the end of the year in the spring to shift our MTSS network meeting, our final one in the spring, to focus on foundational skills and bring that back to the forefront. Now, that was at the request of executive directors, school leaders, coaches, and again, looking at our data to triangulate what we're seeing. So that's the first thing. In our literacy block, which is 135 minutes, 90 minutes is wit and wisdom. And so we're going to continue to implement that. That 45 minutes, though, as part of that 135 minutes, is allocated specifically for the implementation of the foundational skills. So if I'm implementing 135 literacy block the way we have prescribed, if you will, there's already built-in time for that. If you recall, in January, we brought to you a contract with SchoolKit that was a free program or a grant that we were awarded by the state to partner with SchoolKit to provide coaching support, direct on-the-ground support, where our schools this past spring into the summer have been working with SchoolKit to identify what are their specific goals and strategies to support the implementation of our foundational skills instruction. And it's specifically geared towards the curriculum that we used for the second year this past year. But I'm going to let Aaliyah Washington-Smith, she's our elementary director of literacy, to add, please.
Thank you. Great question. In addition to what Dr. Williams mentioned around strategic planning that's currently happening at the school level in collaboration with the SchoolKit teams, we're planning to provide teachers with ongoing intensive support, packages of professional development that can be redelivered at the school level during collaborative planning and professional development sessions, as well as strengthening planning for foundational skills. We realized that we spent a lot of time last year preparing teachers to deliver high-quality instruction around wit and wisdom. It was a very comprehensive curriculum. Teachers really invested a lot of time and energy, and we asked them not to divide their time and efforts. We felt like that was just too much to ask to improve in two different areas of literacy during the same year. So we're going to maintain some consistency with what we've requested and asked of teachers this past school year with wit and wisdom. We're going to hold tight on the pacing, ensuring that they have enough time to provide small group instruction and continue providing rigorous instruction around wit and wisdom. But we're also going to say, let's take a moment, really look at foundational literacy, figure out how to use our data effectively to meet the needs of students, and let's really unpack the curriculum that's in our hands and learn how to use it well. So right now, we have hundreds of teachers that have gone through the Tennessee-sponsored training. It's course 2 of the early literacy training. It provides them with an entire week of intensive professional development around the Tennessee Foundational Skills Curriculum Supplement. And we will follow up on that with August the 4th training for teachers around assessment and how to effectively use that curriculum to support their work. We will continue with boots on the ground coaching in schools for school level stakeholders, as well as ongoing support for literacy coaches.
Oh,
I wanted to, the rest of your question was about science and social studies.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to clarify that, thank you, Aaliyah. She's amazing. Wanted to clarify science and social studies in our master schedule guidance that we provide principals. There is a separate time for science and social studies that we recommend they adhere to. Now, if they want to tack that on to the literacy block and extend it, that's totally up to their discretion how they want to configure their school day with the appropriate breaks for our young students. But in addition to the wit and wisdom, the foundational skills, the PLT, there is and should be a separate science and social studies instructional period.
okay, thank you. Ms. Masters, you said you had a
Yeah, I just,
follow-up?
one more question about, mentioning this curricula fatigue and the fact that we had 3 different curricula in 3 years. And I appreciate what was mentioned about maintaining consistency and pacing and how we're trying to head in that direction. But I still had some lingering concerns about how to what level have we assessed the success of our teachers based on student growth in the midst of this constant changeover of curricula. So in other words, have teachers in some way possibly been negatively affected, or there's been some perception of a negative growth for their students as a result of, what we're testing this year is based on a curriculum that we're no longer using. So I'm just kind of wondering, what have we done to try to streamline that? And then also on the student side, when we're looking at something like, previously MAP testing and we're trying to measure student growth, how can we really do that when we're switching curricula so often?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the way I've approached this, not just professionally, but in my life, is that when life is so chaotic, what we need more than anything is stability. We need some constancy for our families, for our students, for our teachers. But Dr. Changas alluded to this earlier, when you have so many different factors that go into student success, when you look at test scores and say, well, what contributed to that? Well, we have good ideas, but it's complex, right? Transportation plays a part, nutrition services, our counseling department plays a part, certainly our curriculum, our teachers, and our professional development play a part. So it would be too early to speculate specifically what's actually driving this, but I can look at the data and say we are oriented properly in the right direction. When we have growth, we can safely assume that we're probably headed in the right direction. The next question becomes, how can we accelerate that? Are there things that we could let go, that we could double down in and accelerate further to see increased growth? And that's what I'm excited to do over the next few weeks as we start to unpack more of these results at the school level, looking at teachers, different student groups, and actually understand what might be driving this. What do we need to continue to accelerate, and maybe we want to strategically abandon?
Okay.
And I know we've run up on our time, but I just want to say, I know we're going to be talking about wit and wisdom at our next meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're going to be looking at that contract up again. And so I just kind of looking at what you guys have said about this comprehensive focus, and one of the things that Dr. Washington talked about was that strengthening our planning and our PD and unpacking our curriculum. We have to learn how to use it well. But I've been told over and over again that as we understand wit and wisdom better, that our teachers will be given more autonomy. And so I would love to, in a future time, because it seems like we're out of time, but and I can email this to you.
Yes, ma'am.
But what does more autonomy look like for our teachers? What will be different for our classroom teachers, for our students? And then how will that be communicated to the teachers and the principals so that everybody is on the same page of what they can do within the confines of something.
Right.
And the biggest complaint that I have heard has been that the implementation has been patchy. And most of the frustration is around a lack of autonomy.
Right. So, as you say, I know that we need to move on to the next meeting,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to have that conversation. I think it's really important. I actually prepared some notes in anticipation of that question, but we'll get to them another way and another time.
Yeah, okay,
Thank
so
you.
that is definitely a conversation we'll continue to have.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else you want to add before we?
To add to that question, I would like to say that I would like to know how teachers are able to give their input of what needs to be streamlined or what they think are the best options within their professional experience. So I would like to know how we get that feedback. I know we don't have the time now, but when we have those notes, I'd like to know how that information is collected from them and how they're aware to provide that information as well.
Got it.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you very
Right,
much.
thank you so much. I appreciate Dr. Changas, Dr. Williams, Dr. Washington, everybody else who came in support of this. This is a large lift for you to bring us this much information at once, and we really appreciate the time and effort you guys put into trying to make it as simple to understand as possible. So thank you for that. And at that, I'll go ahead and end this Teaching and Learning Committee meeting.
Thank
Since
you.
we're out of time.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.